don't mean to be a doomer over here, Ray, but probably not. So in spite of that, what we need to do in the realization that it's probably going to go a very different way is how do we love God no matter who wins, right? No matter who tries to blow up the other. We need to just come from a place of love. And if we can do that, we will be at the end, right? We will be there because after all things, right? Faith, hope, and love, the greatest of these is love. And if we can come from a place of that, have conversation, continue to dialogue, don't compromise, then maybe we can end up in a better place for everybody from our standpoint of view without the violence, without the chaos, without the destruction. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But does that mean we shouldn't try? No, it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. It means we should try all the more. Yeah. Let us strive.
Preach reason with the voice of grace.
Absolutely. If it's possible, let us do it. And that doesn't mean that you can't take a stand, because I feel like so much of the dialogue condenses to, well, if you're not just emphatically want to destroy people, then you don't really care. No, not at all. I mean, heck, there's a place where we can punish people who've done evil in love, right? I mean, that's what God does all the time, right? Reinhold Niebuhr, theologian of the 1950s, made a great line when he said that. He's a Protestant theologian. I can't remember if he's Anglican or something else.
Anglo-Catholic.
Right, something to that extent. But he said that it is God's love and mercy when a man is caught in adultery. Because it is through the being caught in the consequences that he can understand what is right and what is wrong, and what is love, and be swept up in what is justice. That is grace. That is mercy. That is God's love. To many, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Right? How dare you go too far? Right? To me, it's a place where we can say, well, hey, we can love the person and still recognize that what they have done is abominable and it has to be punished. And they're probably not going to change. And people need to understand that too. Christ's restoration and redemption is universal for Christians who turn to him, right? They're gonna it's the restoration, right? And it is possible, right? I'll never eliminate possibility. But what I can say is, there's a good portion of people who, once they cross a certain line into and I don't mean to be graphic by any means, but child molestation or child murder or certain crimes, depending on how they're done, do attest to a fallenness where it is merely love to say, throw away the key. You know what I mean? And that isn't coming from a place of evil. It's coming from a place of consequence. And from consequence, justice is seen and preached. And I just think that's the distinction. Let's go back in time a little bit. We're a little entitled. You and I were talking about this at breakfast. But one of the biggest problems with, how we think about, let's go to criminal justice, is what people think they're owed, right? And we can just look at it. People have very different definitions of what people think they're owed, right? We're living in a time where standards are increasingly being lowered, right? I mean, I think it's Kansas City, you can't fail a grade. I don't think you can fail a class in Kansas City public schools.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible for students to fail. You can never turn in your work and still get, I think, a 40%. That's unacceptable. I don't know about you. That's kind of insane. And to them, that's usually coming from students who come from really poor backgrounds and have a very rough life. And so I don't deny or dismiss any of those things in contributing to the outcome. But does that mean that there's no failing anymore? But does that mean that there's no standards anymore? That's not God's love, right? To not have standards is to not have God's love.
Right.
Because there is perfection, and we are called to it. And when you dismiss it for the sake of the sin in the world, well, then you dismiss Christ. Because Christ didn't say, I've died for you. Come, the universe is saved. The world is saved. Come into me and don't change, right? No, he says, let me change you. Let me change you into what you're supposed to be, right? As far as I'm concerned, we're living in a world that says everyone's perfect, everyone's special. And we're trying to live like that without acknowledging the classic mantra from The Incredibles, you gotta love syndrome. It's if everybody's super, nobody is, right?
Yeah.
right?
corrupted.
Nobody. Right? And we got to be willing to raise standards again.
Mm.
And we got to be willing to say, I know this is tough. And I know this disproportionately affects this person, that person, this person, in spite of things that we can't control. Does that mean we don't have standards? No. It means, what are the root problems that we can fix, right, while still having standards?
Exactly.
Because we need them. And we're going to lose that. And when we lose it, then it's over. It's all over.
Yeah.
Because once you lose standards, any degree of excellence is merely just a subject in the imagination.
Yeah, structure and action is so important. And
Yeah.
Before we end this, I
Yeah.
was meaning to ask you this before we even started the more theological.
I know we
conversation
got
we're having,
sidetracked, but it was good.
But it was
really
fantastic.
good.
No, it was fantastic. But I wanted to ask you what led you to. I mean, I have an idea, but what led you to your conversion of orthodoxy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Without getting too overly semantic.
Please do.
Well, if I'm allowed. So I came from Protestant background, a myriad of Protestant experiences growing up as a kid. Evangelical Presbyterianism in North Carolina for 6 years, and a Baptist church for like 5 years, 6 years, and then another non-denominational charismatic is what I'd say.